Everybody, this is Matt from endsickness.org. Today I'm going to talk about the secrets to beating your chronic illness. These are the things that most traditional physicians have not taught you. This is based on my personal experience. I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is based on my personal experiences, like I said, informational and educational purposes only. So let me get back to the secrets to beating your chronic illness, okay? I had a fibromyalgia, PTSD, IBS, reactions to all kinds of different foods, mast cell activation, histamine intolerance. I mean, I had tons of different chronic illnesses. And what I realized after overcoming all of them is that there's three main things that are causing all chronic illnesses. It is what we're consuming, what we're inhaling, and what we're thinking, okay? And most doctors, what they do instead is they say, oh, well, let's throw another supplement at them. And then client gets hit in the face with another supplement bottle and says, you sure it's going to work? And they say, oh, yes, it'll work because of this, and blah, 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 blah. But they don't address the underlying root causes, which are we're consuming things that are irritating our mast cells. We're inhaling things that are irritating our mast cells. We're thinking things or experiencing things that are irritating our mast cells. They don't get the connection that the mast cells are the main cause of all these chronic illnesses. This is because they've been taught to think a different way, or they have not looked far enough into it like I did, didn't spend hundreds of hours, just hundreds and hundreds of hours, researching studies on mast cells and understanding that they connect to all chronic illnesses. Every chronic illness that exists connects to mast cells. So the things that really aggravate mast cells are your dairy, your eggs, your nuts, your seeds, your gluten, your processed foods, and too much meat, okay? Too much meat. Meat is an inflammatory food. When you consume meat, immediately the cholesterol, the animal fats, the saturated fat causes inflammation. It causes a restriction of the vessels. It causes inflammation immediately in the body. It causes the mast cells to release histamine. This is what people don't understand. They oh, I cut out the eggs, I cut out the dairy, but I'm still eating meat 2-3 times a day, and I'm eating vegetables, and I'm wondering why I'm still sick. Well, it's because your body is not breaking down the meat, okay? It's not breaking down the meat. And if you keep consuming the meat, your body's going to become more and more acidic. It's going to have more and more issues breaking down plants. You're going to have less and less good bacteria, and you're going to have a microbiome collapse. It's what happens when you go carnivore. It's what happens when you go too much with the animal products, too much with the dairy, the eggs, the gluten, the nuts, the seeds, all the things that inflame the gut. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to eat plant-based foods. We're going to eat what our parents ate. We're going to eat what our parents ate. We're going to eat some potatoes, rice, fruits, vegetables, beans, lentils, tofu, things like that. And there may be certain ones that work better for you than others. Usually you want to start with the vegetables. Then you want to move to your fruits or your starches. And then after that, you're going to look at the beans, the lentils, the tofu. But the reality is you want to take the stress off your mast cells. And as I said, the main thing that's causing stress in your mast cells are these food allergies, food sensitivities. And you're going to have food sensitivities to the most common foods, your dairy, your eggs, nuts, seeds, gluten, processed foods. And then the reason these are food sensitivities, or they're more likely to be food sensitivities, because they have complex proteins in them that are hard to break down, okay? And this is the problem with an inflamed gut. When you have an inflamed gut, you do not break down proteins well, okay? And people who have chronic illnesses do not have good gut health. If you don't have good gut health, you're not breaking your proteins down well, okay? And often you're not breaking down your animal fats well. So if you're eating too many animal fats, too much protein, you're going to have an undigested food in your stomach. It's going to rot in your stomach. It's going to cause you all kind of health issues, and it's going to exacerbate your symptoms. For example, hyperactivity, muscle pain, sleep issues, itchiness on the skin. You could go on and on with food allergies. Any symptom you could imagine can be tied to food sensitivities. So now we cover food, let's cover environment. The number 2 thing that people neglect when you're talking about chronic illnesses is mycotoxin sensitivity. It's not just mold, mycotoxins, oh, let's do a urine test and let's see if it comes up high in the urine. No, it's about how sensitive you are to the mycotoxins. I had a daughter that was so sensitive to mycotoxins that we'd be in places that had next to no reading at all, mold, right? And she'd still be sensitive. We got a blood test eventually from my myco lab, and it showed she was being exposed to mycotoxins in all the places we were living, and she had developed immune sensitivities to all these mycotoxins. So when she went into a new building or a building that had 10, 20 years old, whatever it was, and there was a history of water damage or dampness, she would flare up. And I realized that mycotoxins and antibodies to mycotoxins are this underlying cause to chronic illnesses that next to no one's talking about. And if you run into a brick wall where you're saying, I've done everything I can with the diet, I'm eating mostly plant-based, I've removed all those key foods, Matt, I'm eating next to no meat, and I'm still not better, then you gotta look at mycotoxins, okay? And the best way to do that is to go to mymycolab.com. They have a test. It's about $400. It'll draw your blood. You'll draw your blood. You don't have to have a doctor order it. You can get your blood drawn. And what will happen is it'll test your antibodies specifically to mycotoxins, and it'll show if you have past exposure or current exposure. Your IgG is your past exposure, your IgE is your current exposure. It'll show you right there, are you having an issue with mycotoxins? Right there, okay? And if you are, and its levels are really high, then bingo, you've hit the jackpot. This is more likely the root cause of your illness. Thank God, hallelujah, is what I'd be saying, right? The next thing you wanna think about after diet, environment, is you're gonna be stress. Emotions triggered by past trauma, current observations of things that remind you of past trauma. This is what I see over and over again with clients who have chronic illnesses, is they have ongoing stressors that are in their life that they don't have proper coping mechanisms for. And often these current things that they see in their life, they remind them of past trauma from childhood, they remind them of past events, of things they have not dealt with. And unless they're willing to look at these things face to face and say, oh, I'm being triggered to this because of something that happened in the past. It's not relevant to the moment. Everything is okay now. I am safe now. Everything is okay. Unless you're able to reaffirm safety, reaffirm that everything is not threatening around you, and you're not feeling going up and down with emotions and triggers, unless you're able to stay relatively stable there, it's going to be hard to make progress, to be able to sustain progress. Because even if you're eating the right foods, living in the right environment, if you're crippled inside your mind with all these fear and possibilities of what could go wrong next, then you're going to be stuck in a giant circle. And as soon as you get a little further and a little bit further, and you're almost getting better, and your symptoms are getting better, guess what? You'll focus on the fear, the things around you that can still go wrong, that could send you backwards, and then you'll draw yourself to them, and then you'll go backwards again. And this is what I've seen 100 times with clients. When you make progress, if you don't address the emotions, you don't address the stress, you don't address the past childhood trauma, then you end up stuck in it, and then you make choices in your reality that reinforce these feelings that you have inside you that you have not dealt with. Repressed emotions are a big deal. They're an absolutely huge deal, okay? So the three things that all these physicians are missing about chronic illnesses: what we're eating, what we're consuming is number one. Number two is what we're inhaling. Number three is what we're thinking, okay? So the last part I want to mention is supplements. Okay, what do you do with supplements? Most people use synthetic supplements. They use supplements that have 15 ingredients in them. These are big no-nos when you have a chronic illness. You want to have single ingredient supplements. They want to all be plant derived. They all want to be shown in studies to calm down mast cells, also feed good bacteria in the gut, also not compromise the detox system. They have to pass all three of those. They have to check the boxes, all three of those boxes. If they don't, if they are not plant-based, they're not mast cell modulators, they don't calm down the immune system, they don't feed the good bacteria in the gut, they compromise the detox system. If they don't meet those criteria, they're causing you problems there, then you can't take them. You can't take them. What I do is I use only plant-based supplements, things like, your plant-based magnesium, zinc, beta-glucans, colostrum, apigenin, B-propolis, omega-3s from algal oil. I mean, the list goes on, but they all have to be plant-based and naturally derived. Those are going to absorb better. They're going to be better for your immune system, better for your body overall. These are the secrets that people don't know about when they're trying to overcome chronic illness, whether it's autoimmune disease, whether it's mast cell activation, whether it's histamine intolerance, whether it's chronic migraines, whether it's whatever it is, right? The reality is it all comes back to one thing: inflammation. And inflammation is all caused by the same thing: mast cells. So you have to investigate what's in my diet that's aggravating my mast cells, what's in my environment, what am I thinking that's aggravating my mast cells, are my supplements all calming down mast cells? If they're not, throw them away, throw them into the lake behind me, because it's a waste of your money, it's a waste of your time, they're gonna trigger you eventually. Don't go with those synthetic vitamins, synthetic B12 and the ascorbic acid and the vitamin D and all these synthetic vitamins. They're not gonna treat you well in the long run, they're not gonna restore the deficiencies, and this is what I've learned. So thanks for watching, everybody. Go to my page, endsickness.org, to learn more. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I offer people free 30-minute phone consultations to go over their questions, their case, and how I would approach it. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope to see you again soon.